Welcome to the podcast, Lighting the Educational Flame, created and produced by educator and author Marc Hoberman, owner and director of Grade Success Tutoring. Marc will be joined by Susan Brender, CEO and host of The Susan Brender Show. The purpose of this program is to offer our listeners a variety of stories dealing with many interesting topics surrounding education. It is our hope that students and parents alike will benefit from the wide range of topics, including study skills, test prep, anti-bullying, sports, music, and more. We hope you enjoy our show, Lighting the Educational Flame.
Hello and welcome to the video podcast, Lighting the Educational Flame, brought to you by Grade Success Education on the NETV network. I am Marc Hoberman and my co-host is Susan Brender. Hello, Susan.
Hello there, Marc, and it's great to be again with you. And I am so excited about interviewing our Marc Brew. Marc, it's a pleasure to have you on the show as well.
Absolutely. Great to have you again here, Susan. And we are, as Susan said, we are lucky to have Marc Brew with us. He's from the Access Dance Company. So Marc, welcome to Lighting the Educational Flame.
Thank you so much, Marc and Susan. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Pleasure, our pleasure. Marc, could you just tell us a little bit how you first got involved into dance?
Yeah, definitely. I'm originally from Australia, which is where I grew up. And at the age of 7, I was doing a lot of acrobatics and jumping around the backyard, and my mother decided to use that energy and put me into dance class. So I was quite young, and especially for a boy to dance. But we had a dance teacher who traveled around to the country villages, and it was every Friday that the dance teacher came and taught at our local gymnasium, taught jazz dance, it was called at the time. So that was sort of my introduction. And then thankfully, through my primary school and early school years, I had some teachers who recognized, I guess, what we call talent, and advised my mother and that I should, pursue a career in dance. So I then went on to go to an arts college and high school and boarding school, and then trained at the Australian Ballet School in a very formal ballet training, and then went on to work professionally as a dancer. And then in 1997, I was in a car accident and have then continued my career as a disabled dancer.
Are you better now from that accident? What was your recovery like?
Yeah, I mean, it takes time. I was in a motor vehicle accident one day after class on a Saturday afternoon. Three friends and myself went bushwalking, and on the way driving to go there, a drunk driver had driven down the wrong way of the motorway and hit our car. So I suffered massive internal injuries and a spinal cord injury. Ooh. So actually I was paralyzed from the neck down, and then gradually as time went on, I got movement back in my upper arm. So I now am paralyzed from the chest down and use a wheelchair. So I'm a dancer with a disability, physical disability, and use a wheelchair.
Marc, the interesting thing, I told Marc this, Marc, I'm talking about my host here. I told him about how amazing this group that you're with, Access Dance. Is there any other company around the world who does what you do?
There are other companies around the world, actually. But when I had my accident back in 1997, I think it was pre sort of the internet. So it was hard for us to know what other that people were starting to form, and disabled and non-disabled dancers, people coming together to explore what they could do. So when I had my accident, I didn't really know that there was a lot out there. And one of my first trips after my accident, 2 years after, was to go to New York and basically retrain. And I think through sort of newspapers and articles, that's when we started discovering, of course, then the internet discovered about other companies. So Access Dance Company, in which I'm the artistic director, we in our 34th year, we're definitely the most renowned integrated company in America, but we're not the oldest in America. And then there's other companies around the world. And I also used to dance with a company in the UK called Can Do Go Dance Company, which is the UK's leading physically integrated dance company.
Yeah. Now, I know you work with people of all ages, and but what should parents know about what you do?
I mean, our mission is to redefine dance and disability, and we do that through 3 pillars of activity: our artistry, so our performance work, in which we create and choreograph new work. We also commission choreographers to create work on the company. We also do engagement, which is our second pillar, which is all of our outreach and education work, from teaching workshops, master classes, choreographic residencies. We also have a huge assembly program that we do every year where we work with schools to teach them about dance, physically integrated dance, inclusion, accessibility, as well as disability advocacy. And yeah, so we do a lot of training with schools and for the younger generation, which is really powerful.
When you come into the school, what kind of reaction do you get?
It's amazing. It's really electrifying. I think it's one of my most humbling experiences, just seeing how students react to Access's work. They're pretty much blown away, and a lot of them also find ways to relate to the work that we're doing. I remember one time I've had a kid going, "Wow, you're just like me. I have a disability too." And it's really about empowering, and rather than difference being seen as a negative, but as a positive, and just showing the possibilities. And especially as dancers who are using different mobility aids, kids are really interested like how we do that and how we work together, all of that partnering work that we do. So it gives inspiration and also really positive role models.
Yeah. So what are some of the reactions you get from people who initially never thought about dancing and get involved with dance in such a big way? I mean, it's an unusual thing for people to really start to get involved in dance, because it's a difficult thing to make money in dance.
Yeah, that's for sure. And especially as a disabled dancer, there have been in the past, really limited opportunities because dance hasn't been made accessible for disabled people, or we as society have a particular perception of what a dancer looks like. So Access really tries to smash those ideas and those perceptions and really wants to make dance accessible to everybody.
Well, it's interesting, Mark, because when you first look at your tagline, which is "If you have a body, you can dance," it sounds like someone who thinks they have two left feet or they have no rhythm, and it's such a different concept and such a different philosophy. How do you speak about and bring that philosophy to the schools?
Well, firstly, from my own personal experience, one thing I realized, having been a trained dancer and then acquired my disability, was I still had a body. I could still move. It was different than what it was before, but I still had a body and I could still express myself. So that's why for us, if you have a body, no matter what shape, size, color, background that you have, we all have the ability to express ourselves with our bodies and be the dancer that we want to be. And as a dancer, not everyone goes into dance to have a career of dance. And dance brings many other health benefits, in regards to one's self-esteem, one's own personal health and confidence. So dance, has been proven to have many benefits to one's well-being.
Well, that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask you. How do you combine, we hear about exercise and the physical benefits of dance, but how do you combine the emotional with the physical?
Yeah, I think that's even more important now. Whenever we start our working day and we work with a group, we always have a check-in of like, what do we need to know to be able to work with you today? Where are you at? And that's physically and also emotionally. And then we use dance to be able to really help us to create, to help us to express, and also to give us focus. So it all sort of feeds into the artistic expression of dance.
Can I jump in, Mark? I
Sure.
want to ask you, Mark, when we started out with this pandemic, a lot of schools were closed and they continue to be closed. Now, how does that affect Access? Because you can't get into a school today and show your thing, if you will, your dancing. And I'm sure it really is kind of a bad thing.
Yeah, great question, Susan. And one thing about Access and the work that we do is we're very adaptable. So we were very quick in pivoting to look at how we could offer to our community and also to schools, because right at the time of the second week in March, we were in the middle of our assembly program. We were in schools, and the next thing they all got cancelled. So what we did do was look at our archiving footage and then recorded footage of the dancers asking questions and sharing tasks and creative explorations through Zoom. And we made 9 videos that we then sent out to the schools that also had a worksheet and also creative tasks that they could then do at home. So we were able to offer schools more sort of video worksheets and ways of connecting that way.
That's excellent. You do such great work in schools, but lighting the educational flame, the whole point of this podcast is education, but people think of that's just 1 + 1 = 2. We put together academic education with character education. And I found in over 30 years in education that self-expression, especially for teens, is so important. I've seen them dance. I've seen them in school plays. I've seen them do artwork, draw, write poetry. How do your programs enhance that self-expression for young people specifically?
Yeah, thank you, Mark. The last 3 years, we had a wonderful program that was funded by the Haas Foundation where we got to have long residencies at schools rather than in the past, we've done a lot of like go in, do assembly, do a workshop, do a class, and then we leave. But we wanted to really build sort of an ongoing relationship. So we were working with schools around the Oakland Unified School District for the dancers to have an ongoing weekly class with students. And each class that we worked with sort of had a different theme. So we worked with the school teacher about themes that they were working with, and then for them to be able to work it in to be able to express through different movement tasks. And as we know, everyone learns differently. Some people are visual, some people, you know, like to need to have it written out. So one of the things as an example is one of the groups were working around stories and telling their personal stories. So we were able to feed that into different creative tasks that they could express through their movements to sort of deliver and develop their classwork through movement.
Marc Hoberman, I'm interested in understanding when you were a teacher and a group would come in to teach dance, were the kids enthusiastic? Were they excited?
Yeah, they love that because it was self-expression, and you know, I think it's easier to learn a dance move than a vocab word or what a metaphor is and things of that nature. So it allowed them to be free. You know, as Marc mentioned, there are so many different learning modalities. I'm just so excited to hear that he uses them in dance, because when we as teachers and educators hear about learning modalities, we think audio learner for this poem, a visual learner for this type of essay. We would never think about that as dance. We had a great dance instructor, Stacy Tiro, who was great with the kids and was finally given a dance program. And just the ease and the comfort, and you know, dance knows no boundaries. Dance isn't racist. Dance doesn't make judgments. So I just love the fact that he uses those different learning modalities. So when dance troops did come in at time, they just loved that kind of let your hair down and really see someone else in action. So it was a very empowering thing whenever we had those kind of people come into the school.
And I just want to add, it just makes it more accessible to people, you know, because, you know, we are saying, okay, we're looking for a particular movement or we want you to express in a certain way. But by adding these extra layers in, like by using an image, by not being so body specific, but saying, let's reach the right side of our body to the tallest tree, you know, it really gives people access points to be able to take that and make it work for their body.
Absolutely. And that leads me to ask you, what's your advice to people who say, I have no rhythm and I'm not physically able to dance, I'm overweight, I have a bad knee. It takes on such new meaning with the work that Access does. It just totally opens the doors. So what's your advice to people who have that kind of fixed mindset?
You know what I'm going to say, Mark? You have a body, you can dance.
Yeah.
Totally.
And that's
they're going deeper in that, you know, dance. And it comes back to that traditional idea and perception about what dance was. And I think through Access's work, we're trying to really break that barrier and of what people expect a dancer to look like. And it being more about self-expression, expression through your body, using it as a fitness tool, a well-being tool. And as a wheelchair user, I sit down and I translate things to my body. And also if a dancer is injured or someone doesn't feel confident, then there are different ways for them to be able to access this information, apply it to their body. And sometimes it takes time, you know, but we don't go into a class saying, do it exactly like I'm doing this exercise, you know, but it's about an exchange and also to build people's confidence.
Marc Brew, you know, interestingly enough, dance is kind of like math. There's all kinds of things that you do that you kind of have to look at and say, all right, 2 and 2 makes 4, 4 and 4 makes 8. You know, it's a math kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's definitely is, mathematical ways of looking and thinking about dance, especially when it comes to, you know, incorporating timing and coordination. But also I like to think, you know, that dance also, you know, does work not just the body, but the brain as well. in regards to people's thinking process and how they connect, you know, their thoughts and combinations of movement through calculus, through timing to their bodies. So there actually is a lot that goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to jump in real quick. So you bring up so many important things, and it's interesting that half of what you're talking about is related to dance, but half of it is just related to life. So and I think it's the work that you do is amazing. But in your opinion, what's the most important message you can deliver to our viewers today? Just keeping in mind, most of them are parents of children, certainly teens. And what's the most important message from Marc Brew?
You know, especially in today's current situation, I think creativity is so important to really support one's creative growth as well, and to give that freedom of expression through one's own means, whichever way that may be. You know, for me, it was dance and it was through choreography, but I think it's just being aware of, you know, your children, the people who you're around, and how it can really support them to the best that they can be.
Excellent. And Marc, if our viewers wanted to learn even more about you and the services that you offer, that Access offers, where could you send them? Where can they learn more about what you do?
Yeah, I'd go straight to our website, which is just accessdance.org.
With the tagline of?
You have a body, you can dance.
Absolutely.
I'm, you know, Marc, I'm sorry I have to interrupt you again and say, ask Marc, what's in store for you next? I mean, I know we're dealing with the pandemic and obviously things are closed, but you must have something planned.
Yeah, I mean, we are still working remotely. I'm at the moment choreographing through Zoom with the dancers every day, which has been as I said, like being a dancer is, you know, we're very adaptable, and I think being an artist really helps. So we're learning new tools as we go, but we are also looking at, like, with our next year programming, to really be aware, because we've also learned a lot from using this platform, of being online, and how we can continue that. So, you know, classrooms may not be going back next year. So we're developing our program so we can connect with students and schools remotely.
Outstanding. Marc, Susan and I can't thank you enough for joining us today, sharing your incredible story and the services Access offers with our viewers. So thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. And viewers, remember to reach out to us on social media. Look for Great Success on Facebook and Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. You can also find me, Marc Hoberman, on LinkedIn. Again, Marc Brew, thanks for being with us. Susan, as always, thank you. And viewers, don't forget to tune into our next podcast. This is Marc Hoberman thanking you for watching the podcast, Lighting the Educational Flame, on the Great Success Education channel on NETV. Have a great day, and we hope to see you soon. Marc, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Lighting the Educational Flame with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@gradesuccess.com.